This is Ask GMBN, where we're trying to answer your questions that are sent in the comment section below last week's Ask GMBN and sent in to ask@gmbn.com.
Yeah, so let's get straight into the questions this week's show. Neil, ready?
We've got loads, haven't we, this week?
Yes, got a great one here starting from Graham White. Where do you store your phone when you're riding?
I just stick it in my pocket, actually.
Yeah, but aren't you worried you're going to, like, you know, these phones snap these days, don't they?
Actually, it's a good point. Mine is a little bit bent. So I didn't fall off with it.
So maybe you're not the guy to ask, because Graham does say he's switched to a dropper post, so he can't use his seat bag anymore. So he's really worried about where to put it. You can get little parcels that strap the phone to the bike, on the bike frame. Yeah. So there are little additions out there that you could add to your bike that will keep it nice and safe.
Stick it nice and safe in your GMBN pocket pack, of course. And then stick it in your back pocket or something. Yeah,
that'll keep it nice and waterproof. But going on what Neil just said, maybe not sticking it in your pocket, or you're going to get a bent phone.
Okay. Ben Huddleston is 10 years old and he really wants to become a pro mountain biker one day. Do you have any tips?
I think it's a pretty easy answer to that one. It's just ride a lot.
Yeah.
That's the one thing the pros have all done. They put the time in. And if you really love riding, it's easy to do because you're having fun the whole time and it just does it by itself. If you can't get there without putting all that time in, so yeah, it's got to be done. It's all about practice.
Exactly that, yeah. Sid rides some trails uphill that are steep, narrow, sharp turns. The turns also have roots and loose gravel. Often the front wheel washes out and loses grip. How is it best to tackle these? Should I shift my weight towards the front to get better grip, or should I lean into the turn or not?
Perfect man to answer that question.
Yeah, you have to shift your weight a bit. It's really hard because if you go too far forward, your back wheel's going to spin up. Those corners are tricky, and you always find that you are kind of hanging off the inside of the bike, which is kind of different to going downhill, where I always say try and get to the outside of the bike. But yeah, it's trying to do all those things at a really slow speed where your bike is likely to fall over. So yeah, try and shift the weight forward a little bit and stay above the bike if you can.
Right, good answer. Matt Jackson, I did a search on GMBN but didn't see anywhere that you addressed the protection of carbon frames from rocks. Oh.
Yeah, you can get like rocks picking up on your front wheel and smacking the bottom of your down tube. Some bikes, like my Scott, has like a built-in protector. You often see downhillers put in a bit of old tyre on the front, or you can actually buy special protectors now, like carbon protectors that go down there. It's definitely a susceptible part of the bike. On aluminium bikes, it doesn't really matter so much. They might get dings, but it doesn't really affect them too much. So
yeah, but Matt does say, because we haven't got that video on GMBN, so maybe that's something we should address and do a how to protect your carbon bike video. So good suggestion.
Well, maybe we will, yeah. Archie Hicks, in downhill, what are the people with whistles doing? Whistles?
Well, a lot of the time it's because it's the stewards letting everyone on the course know that a rider's coming.
That's it.
Because a lot of the time these guys come in so quick, and if someone steps into the track, they're going to get railed down by an incredibly fast downhill rider. So if you're a whistle, look for a rider. Yep.
Jono Widows. I saw on Jenny Risved's pro bike the dropper post was set to 30mm of drop. What advantage does this limited travel have for a cross-country rider? Surely more drop is better.
Oh, it's interesting. I mean, she must have her bike pretty dialed, you know, for exact. I know that cross-country riders particularly get their measurements of their bikes and their cockpits very accurate, don't they?
Yeah. I think some of them don't want to sort of lose their saddle. So if you only got 30mm drop, you always sort of know where it is, and it's really quick to get back up to your really efficient pedaling height. And I think that's the main reason why cross-countries limit their dropper saddle travel. You should check out our video that we've done on how to ride with a dropper seat post. You might be considering a seat post upgrade or following the lead of some of the top cross-country racers, and you've decided that you need to get your seat out of the way for technical descents. Once you get one, I doubt you'll look back. This is how to ride with a dropper seat post. So going back to last week's Ask, we talked about being a protected rider in the World Cup downhill, and Toasty Bear's got another question. So, do they do reverse qualifying order for the main race? Yes, they do. If so, why don't the top 20 do deliberately badly in qualifications if they're protected to get on the track first the next day before it's all torn up?
Well, there's one major point that I'd bring up there is that you actually get points in qualification. Yeah. So if you want to do well over the season, you've got to consistently get good points in qualification and the race. So quali does sound like it's pre-race,
Yeah.
but it is
Still
a very
part of the
important part of the championship.
And UCI did actually bring in a rule. So if you're protected and you finish outside of the top 20, they actually throw you in on race day just before the top 20, because people used to do that. So you find people qualify slowly to get out. People did it at Chambéry that year that it rained every single day at 3 p.m. People qualify slow to get down before the rain did. So the UCI changed it and basically they throw you in just before top 20, so you can't do that anymore anyway.
They've got wise to it, basically.
Yes.
Right, next question is from Falcon 500. I was interested in whether the EWS is easier than downhill. Now, it's a question that comes up a lot, isn't it? So what are the differences between an EWS rider and an experienced downhill racer? So yeah, we did talk about this last week as well. I've raced EWS and World Cup downhill. I would say the fitness is different. So it's much more power based for downhill. You've got 4 to 6 minutes flat out. Enduro, it's the same, but you need to do that 5 times, but you also need to ride potentially 150k over 3 days. So that fitness is different. And I would say the actual pace of the riding, downhill is just absolutely flat out. You sprint everything as hard as you can, you squash everything, you throw everything at it, you'll be max heart rate for the whole race. Whereas enduro, you just can't do that the same for 5 times and then repeat that the next day. So I would say the pace is slightly less fast, not a huge amount, but yeah, it's just that 100% speed you need for downhill. Yeah, it's stamina, isn't it? Yes, it's stamina. But definitely that. We do see downhill riders going across though and doing quite well. Yep. So it does happen. Okay, Ira Ravid says, in case I get a puncture, can you fix a tubeless system while out on the road, or should they take a spare tube with them? Well, you can sometimes fix them. Depends how big the hole in the tyre is. Sometimes the sealant does it for you without having to do anything. Sometimes you need a plug. You can buy these kits where if you can get to it quickly enough, just stick it right in that hole and it'll fill that gap. It's not going to puncture. I can't do it. I'm going. Man. Ira Ravid. Can't do it. Forget it. Move on to a different question. We'll do it. Ira Ravid has got a question. In case I get a puncture, can you fix tubeless system whilst out on the trail, or should I take a spare with me? Hang on, wait, let me get some. You want to take a plug with you everywhere you go. Plug everywhere you go. Jared Casmo's got a question about your hanger. If it's bent, is it okay to ride with a slightly bent hanger on your mech, or is it going to mess up your drivetrain? It could potentially wear out your drivetrain a little bit quicker, I suppose, but the main thing is your gears aren't going to work very well if your hanger's bent. So it's worth fixing, and you should check out a video on how to do that. Sometimes you can just bend it back, other times you might just have to replace that hanger. I'm going to show you how to change your rear mech hanger on the trail side. So rear mechs are slightly vulnerable, they do hang quite low, so there's a couple of ways you can end up damaging your rear derailleur hanger. As you can see, mine's really bent. That mech should be in line with the cassette and it's obviously bent off to the side. Get ready, it's a quick fire round. Fire in the hole! Nicolo Tonto, are there any 29er fat bikes? Yes. No, I don't think so. Oh. Mrs. Unknown says, can I use motocross gear like goggles, jerseys, helmets or for downhill? Yes. Yes, definitely. Ruben van der Doel, how do I convince my friend to get rid of his enduro gap? That's the gap between your knee pad and your really small, tight shorts. Just show him a picture of himself with the enduro gap, that'll be fine, that'll work. Luis Salgado, what type of music do you guys listen to whilst riding? I'm too busy concentrating. Yeah, same. I tried to listen to AC/DC once riding downhill. Didn't end well. Yeah, it ended with a tree, probably. Yeah. Luis Salgado says, what type of music do you guys listen to while riding? Does he? Ellis M, what should you do if you get a puncture whilst running tubeless and it seals up? Do you need to do anything after you ride? I wasn't listening, I was laughing, sorry. No, you don't. Just pump it up again afterwards, make sure it's got the same pressure, it's fine. Okay, Martin got lost in his questions, but now he says, Duncani S, what are your 2 kilometre times on a rowing machine? I think I could get under 8 minutes, but I've not done it for a while. Mine was 6:45. My current time probably wouldn't be good. Oh, 6:45 is very fast. I was pleased with that. Time for Correct Me If I'm Wrong, and we'll start this with correcting ourselves, because we have been wrong. Yes, we are. We got called out by Lucas Gauchi, who says, referring to our talk last week about how the first round of the World Cup downhill had really sprung some surprises on the top riders. The weather had caught them out. There was no top riders basically in the top 20 except for Giaffin.
Yeah.
But Lucas has called us out because he says, what about Connor Fearon? He came 5th and he's constantly a top 10 World Cup rider.
Correct, yeah, I can imagine Connor's going to be looking good for the rest of the series if he can put a good one in foot with him.
Well spotted.
Another one, actually, Jonas Barakat says, actually, Graham Agassiz used a Plus tyre for Rampage last year on the front.
Yes.
We said about downhill and gravity, or I said about gravity and downhill people not really using them. You're completely correct. And I actually saw his bike at Sea Otter and forgot about it. So yeah. Right, now on to a video that's been sent in to ask@gmbn.com, and it's from Chris Reese, who's hit this gap jump and he's asking if his technique is right. So let's take a look. Let's watch it in full speed first go.
Here he comes. It's a nice looking little jump, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Bonk. A bit of a nosedive on that one. So let's take another look at that and let's slow it down to half speed, and we can try and work out exactly why. Sometimes it's because your weight is too far forward or you sort of jump too early. But
it's right on the lip, and the rear wheel just gets kicked.
To me, that looks like there's a bit of a bump on the face of the jump, and that's what gives you that kick. Which, in that case, you really almost need to try and predict that and sort of work with it. So it bonks your front wheel and then your back. So it just gives you a little bit more height, but it does sometimes happen. Sometimes with soft takeoffs as well, you can get that horrible feeling. But it worked out okay this time. But yeah, if you can try and predict that, then try and use it for both wheels rather than just getting that weight on the rear wheel and getting bucked.
Yeah, and if you've got a video that you'd like to show us of your riding where you think you may need a bit of improvement or you just want to show off, send it in to us at ask@gmbn.com and we'll take a look and try and correct it. Thanks for watching, and please keep your questions coming in the comment section down below on the hashtag AskGMBN or on email to ask@gmbn.com. If you want to subscribe to the channel, of course you do, you get a brand new video every day of the week. Click here. Click the logo.
Definitely do that, and for more videos, click just over here for an epic ride in Santa Cruz where me and Blake took a look around and rode some amazing trails.
And you can click just here to see a video where Blake teaches us how to be a free rider.
Give us a thumbs up if you like Ask GMBN.